What is good? I'm headed out to Arc Music Festival in Chicago, and let me tell you, this is exactly my style of music. I've never been to Chicago before, and I've heard it's the bomb. I'm checking out 3 different nightclubs, and got a bunch of friends that I'm heading there with, so let's go. up, guys? I just want to say I'm back from ARC and I am feeling incredible. I mean, that's the reason why I go to these festivals, is to feel alive. You know, you just get in this flow state where, you know, you just feel like you could dance forever. The music is just so good, you know, top talent from all over the world, and, you know, just amazing sound system, amazing visuals. If you're there with your friends, it hit all the notches. So I'm just feeling amazing, and I'm very excited for the rest of the festival that I'm gonna go to. So I'm just gonna quickly go through, you know, a couple of all the pros that I thought of, you know, a couple of the cons or things that they should work on, I think, and then, or just could, you know, use a little bit of improvement, and then also, you know, just, you know, my advice if you're going to this festival and things that I would keep in mind if I was to go again next year, if they do it again, which honestly, if they did do it again, I would definitely go, because it was just one of the best experiences that I've ever had. So, okay, I just quickly wanted to go through some of the pros. So, one of the big pros was how good they were at line management. And I mean that in terms of any possible line that they would have at the venue. So, you know, when I got there on the first day, just getting into the venue, they had so many different people checking for Vax cards and making sure that it lined up with your name, and then your the Vax card and your ID matched. And that's when they gave you your, you know, 21 plus, you know, you can drink wristband. And then when they searched your stuff, it was just really quick. I mean, I think I probably got to the front of the line within 5 minutes and was in the venue within 10. So, and that was the same for both days. So I really thought that the line management in terms of getting in was great. Also line management in terms of bathrooms and bars and food too. Like the entire outside of the venue, the entire perimeter of the venue from side to side was all bathrooms. So you know, there was never, I think if you were just maybe in one corner near the front of the stage, you might have to wait 5 minutes to use one. But if you wanted to walk 5 minutes to another part of the venue, you could just use the bathroom immediately. And that's really important for me, you know, because anytime that you don't have adequate bathroom facilities, you know, they start to get overused, they start to get gross, and no one just wants to spend, you know, their time in a bathroom line. So that's something that I really, you know, value very highly. And I thought ARC did an incredible job for that. Another thing was, I thought the size of the venue was perfect for the amount of tickets that they sold. I never felt really crowded. You know, some of the stages weren't as open. The main stage was extremely wide open. So I think, you know, you could basically go anywhere, meet up with your friends. It never felt like you were being cramped. Some of the other stages, you know, getting to the front, you might have felt that way, but they did a really good job with the sound and making sure that you could hear the sound from pretty much anywhere on the stage. You know, they had a pretty good layout, and I thought they did a really good job there. And I also really liked that you could walk from the farthest side of the venue to the other side in under 10 minutes for sure, probably in under like 6 or 7 minutes. You know, that's something that I find very important. You know, if I want to go meet my friends at one area and they say they'll be there, it's great to be able to walk over there and they're not gone by then. I thought that they had a very compact layout, and I thought Union Park was the perfect size for how many people were there and how many tickets that they sold. The lineup was incredible. So I was curious about who Auris was, A-U-R-I-S, because, you know, I saw Auris Presents ARC, and this is the first year that they were doing this festival. I've never heard of them before. So I did some digging, and I found out on their website that the owner of Prism and Radius / Cermak Hall, which are the two dopest venues that I went to, the two dopest clubs / concert halls that I went to in Chicago, the owner actually teamed up with the senior talent buyer for Disco Donnie, former senior talent buyer. And so Disco Donnie, I don't know if you guys know, is one of the original rave promoters. You know, I'm talking like a decade before Insomniac. This guy was the first one that was persecuted under the Rave Act that Joe Biden passed. So they throw thousands of events a year, and you know, they promote for all different kinds of clubs. You know, they're even doing shows in Seattle now since USC had left. So I was curious how they were able to get such an amazing lineup with such a big act for a first year festival. And they just have really, really deep connections in both the nightclub industry in Chicago, and then also, you know, former talent buyer for Disco Donnie. And so the last part of this video is I'm just going to talk about a couple things to keep in mind that I'm going to do to make sure if I go to ARC again, to just improve my experience. And the first is, you know, stay within walking distance of the venue. or somewhere exactly on either the pink line or the green line, because the entrance to the subway is like maybe less than 1 block away from the entrance to ARC. So as long as you're staying somewhere there, because the prices of Ubers and taxis and whatnot just really go up, and it's really hard to catch one, and just sort of the chaos outside the venue. We have thousands of people trying to leave, so I think that'll just lead to a better experience when you're trying to get to the venue and you're trying to come back. And also there's a lot of just great restaurants and venues, restaurants, bars, venues, and everything just around that west loop area. So that's something that I would definitely do next time. My hotel I was staying at the Crowne Plaza in West Loop, and I would totally stay there again. It was a little bit on the pricier side, but as my first time in Chicago, I was really happy with how it worked out. And I would say that probably 70 to 80% of the people there were going to ARC. So I just thought that it had a really great vibe to it as well, and you were able to just hang out and chat with people that were also going. So totally recommend it, or an Airbnb nearby. I had a couple of friends stay at Airbnbs nearby, and some of them were really spacious and really cool spots. So staying close to the venue as you can, something I highly recommend. The other thing, and this sort of goes back to what I was saying about water, is bring a large Camelback. Unless they fix the water situation next year, or unless you're willing to get VIP or spend a lot of money on water, you're going to be, the smaller your pack, the more you're going to be back in line, the more you've been waiting to fill your water. So it's either going to be really expensive, or you're going to spend a lot of time in line. And the line is kind of in the middle of the water station is kind of in the middle of sound bleed areas. So you're not even really able to enjoy the music while you're waiting in line to fill your water. So just something to keep in mind. Next year I would definitely bring as big a Camelback as I was comfortable carrying. Those things get kind of heavy, but it's just some extra exercise. The other thing too is I was just kind of underwhelmed by the quality of the food at the venue. I wouldn't say it was that expensive. It's pretty just reasonable. Like a meal was probably around $10 to $14 for you to get, but I would say that in terms of food quality, it definitely was not up to par with the restaurants and bars that were around the area. So I'd highly recommend getting food either before or after, and maybe just getting a snack there, because I really thought that they could improve the quality of food that was there. And I didn't really look forward to eating the food. I had tried 2 of the dishes that were there, and I just didn't think honestly they were that great. So definitely, I think, figure out your food situation before and after, and also make an experience out of it. There's so many great restaurants and so much great ethnic food in Chicago. So ask your friends for recommendations, or just look online. And the festival goes from 2 to 10, so just eat a big lunch, and then that'll power you through the end. And then when you get out of the venue, go have some dinner with your friends, then head to the after party. The venue, I'm not sure if it's going to be this way all the time, but at least it was very dry, which caused a lot of dust to get kicked up at a lot of the stages, especially the Elrose stage, but also in the back of the main stage. So I would highly recommend just wearing a mask in general. I mean, not a bad idea anyways, but it's definitely not as bad as Shambhala or some other places out in the woods, but there's the dust getting in your nose is definitely something to consider. In terms of VIP, I had a couple friends that got VIP, and I thought about it, but the mid-level was sold out. And honestly, when I got there, I didn't think that it would be worth it. And a couple of my friends said that they also thought that it was not worth it. So the GA was $229. The next tier was around $450, and the next tier was around $700. And you got some, viewing areas and private bars, but honestly, they weren't in that great of locations. At the main stage, it wasn't, none of the viewing areas were lifted like I had seen at like EDC and other Insomniac events. And I think for the amount of money that they were charging, that's something that I would want. Also, I think that the biggest perk of it was that you were able to get free water. But spending a couple $100s just to get free water, I think if they address it, then it won't be worth it. But it's the first year. And also something that I noticed was that the VIP line to get in on the first day was actually longer than the GA line. And actually, I noticed that one year when I went to EDC. I think that I bought VIP to EDC in like 2015 or 2014, and the VIP line was also longer there. So I think that there's things that they could do to improve their VIP experience, and then it'll be worth it. But I think this first year, I was glad that I didn't go VIP. I thought that GA just offered everything that I wanted, and there weren't any additional benefits that I found myself really seeking or missing out on. The last thing that I'll talk about is what after parties to go to. So because the owner, or the guy that started ARC, also owns Cermak Hall and Radius and Prism, I would highly recommend going to the official after parties. Prism is sort of your standard nightclub. Well, I shouldn't say standard, but it is just a typical nightclub. It's 2 stories. It's got a great layout, great sound, Function 1 sound system. And they didn't oversell what I saw. You could always be kind of comfortable. I didn't feel like I was sardined into the place. But where you should really go check out is Radius and Cermak. So together, it's a 5,000 person venue, and it's just a large, open, extremely high ceilings, tons of bars, tons of bathroom facilities, and that's where just like a great music and sound system experience was. I totally recommend checking that out. And one thing that I was surprised on, because I bought tickets to Martinez Brothers on Saturday night, was that they were playing at Cermak Hall on Saturday night, and then Zoo was playing a Blacklist set at Radius on Saturday night. But what I didn't know was that it didn't matter which show you bought tickets to, the hallway doors were open so you could go back and forth. So, Zoo tickets were almost double the price of Martinez tickets. Well, maybe not double, but maybe close to like a 30 to 35% increase if you include fees. And it didn't matter which one you bought. They're both in the same building, owned by the same people, run by the same promoter. So, they might change things for next year, but at least for this year, just buy the ticket to Cermak Hall, and then you get to see 2 headliners the same night for the cheaper price. All right, well, I think that's about it for ARC Music Festival. For a first-time festival, I thought it was absolutely amazing. I would definitely go back, and I'd highly recommend it to anyone that's a huge techno or house head, and even my friend Derek, who is traditionally a trance guy. He got totally converted during Nicole Mudabar's set, who, in my opinion, was the best set of the weekend. I was so happy and dancing to the best music of my life. So ARC Music Festival in Chicago, you can see all the links down in the description. Totally 100% recommend it. So, I got a pretty good lineup coming for the rest of the year. I'm so excited, and we'll catch you on the next one.